Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. Coming full circle back around to a watch I reviewed not that long ago, about a month and a half ago, and it is the Steeldive SD 1982. I wanted to come back to this because I recently just picked up a brand new 4K camera. Super excited. I don't know why I waited so long. I just want to go ahead and thank Oceaniva Watches. Part of our next collaboration is, stay tuned for that. Going to be reviewing their brand new diver done in Damascus steel. Very unique looking watch. Part of that collaboration was that they wanted the video done in 4K to really show off the detail of the watch. It was this nice way of saying, hey dude, your video quality sucks. Even though he didn't say that. But I do know, I've been using a Canon camcorder over the years, and you guys know how I am. I'm just like, you don't like it, don't watch. But I am glad that he kind of forced me into doing this because the camera I got is much, much better. It was about $500 and it's really weird. I will spend $500 on, specific things. I'll spend $300 on a watch like this watch here, but yet something that is part of my business, I just fought for years. So I'm really glad I did. I really didn't think that 4K made a difference, to be honest with you. Even though I have 4K TVs all over the house, I don't know, I guess maybe to me personally, when I'm watching stuff, it's always on my cell phone. I'm not popping YouTube up on the big screen, right? But I know a lot of folks do, and a lot of folks have phones that have much higher resolution displays than mine does. So I guess, I didn't really realize the difference until I compared the two videos side by side, and the new camera definitely has better audio, and most importantly, it has the ability to get really nice close-ups. This camera has a product showcase mode, and my other camera just could not focus in like this. It was just never clear. And again, I just want to thank Oceaniva for forcing me, or kind of nudging me, to go ahead and upgrade my camera. So with that being said, let's talk about this bad boy. So SD 1982, this is a Steeldive homage to the H20 Kalmar. Now I will state, you guys know I'm not a guy who's going to spend $2 on a watch. I have watches that cost that much. Fortunately, I get to work with awesome companies making these watches, but I'm always going to be the guy that no matter what a company sends me, I'm always going to give an honest review. And to be honest with you, what is the difference between this watch and a $1,500 Euro watch? Now, hang on. Some folks have already commented in my last video saying, no watch isn't 1,500 euros. You can get different models of the watch. If you're going to go with the standard rubber strap, it's going to be less. You go with the specific color, the prices are all over the place. So they're going to run you, say 1,200 euros up to $1,800, 1,800 euros. So keep that in mind. It's quite a difference compared to 288 or 300. I've seen these watches go on sale for 288. They're roughly around 3 to 350. This watch is amazing. It is one of my favorite watches in my collection. And like anything new, eventually the luster kind of wears off a little bit and you end up getting something else. I've said this about many watches I've reviewed, but I definitely dig this watch. And what I really like about it, it's not overly huge. And some people may say that I'm crazy for saying that. It is overly thick though, and it kind of reminds me of the fun I had getting the Invicta Hydromax. The Hydromax is a big, thick watch. Not all the Hydromaxes have that super thick crystal. Now this is not as big as the Hydromax, but it does have a really thick, tall wrist presence, and I like it a lot because it's not an overly huge watch, right? The diameter isn't like a Sea Hunter, right? So you have a much smaller diameter watch with just a real big, thick, beefy depth rating and thickness. Now, this watch is rated for 25,000 meters. I can't confirm or deny this watch can actually do that. These aren't pressure tested. I don't think Steeldive pressure tests these, but I honestly don't know. If you are one of these guys who really cares about that, by all means, buy it, put in a pressure test or see what it'll do, and then you can go ahead and throw that on YouTube on your own time. But for me, I'm not a diver. If it has a depth rating, it's not something I'm going to go out to my friends and brag about and be like, oh, my watch can go down. I just don't give a shit. I just like the way the watch looks, and I love the quality. The biggest thing that I think of, the biggest checkbox when I'm looking at a watch is, what is it made out of? If you have 316 stainless steel, that's most of the watch's quality right then and there. Again, movement's going to come into play, the type of crystal, but crystal meaningless in my opinion. The biggest factor that determines quality of watch is, what is it made out of? If it's 316 stainless steel, you have good quality. Now, sometimes tolerances and the way that they, depending on price points and how much you're getting a watch for and how much quality goes into a watch. Yeah, if you were to compare this to a stainless steel watch, it's maybe not 316. in the $30 price range, you're going to be a big difference in quality. I don't necessarily just mean weight, but you are going to notice something. When we start looking at watches in $300 to $3,000 or say 1,700 euros, right? There's not a lot of difference here. And I would be really hard pressed to really see any difference side by side. Now, some folks did get on my original video and say, oh, you know, they gave me all this nonsense about why the other watch is so much superior. It's really not, right? If this watch will actually, I think the real proof of the pudding is if this watch could do 25,000 meters, then you have to ask yourself, well, what am I paying for? Why am I paying more for the other watch, right? Because the other watch, if we look at specifications on the Kalmar, right? We have and again, keep in mind, like, it's not one price. The price is gonna change on that whether you go with the 8.25 millimeter crystal or the 10.5. This is a homage to what the 10.5 would look like. The 8.25 millimeter crystal by the H20 Kalmar doesn't stick up like this does, and this was a huge, I shouldn't say deciding factor, but I like the watch a lot more that it has that thick crystal sticking about the top. It reminds me of the Hydromax. Totally dig that about the watch. Be careful with it. You know, anytime the crystal is a little bit more vulnerable if you're gonna whack this on, you know, side of a wall, and I have hit this already countless times on doorknobs and everything else. But you could. This is not a watch you want to kind of be flaring your arms around. You know, you could damage it, but you know, it is pretty tough. So we'll get to the specifications on this, right? What I want to do is just kind of go into the specifications. They have a huge write-up about their particular brand, and you know, but I just want to go with the features, right? So big difference with theirs is that they use solid grade 5 titanium, case back and case bezel and case back. Now that is going to make the watch a lot lighter. Titanium is more expensive. Titanium, in all honesty, is a superior, I want to say superior, it's a better metal, right, overall. I mean, but mainly because it's super tough, it's super strong, and it's very lightweight. So if we use that as a gauge to what's better, then it's better. But for everyday use, for, you know, longevity and being able to dive with and corrosion resistance, it's not going to really make that much of a difference unless you are in the water all the time. And again, I joke and say, oh, if you're going to be a mermaid, it makes a difference. Just like 904 stainless steel. It's not really a big factor. You can still take this sucker diving. You can still put in salt water, but no matter what a watch is made out of, when it comes to stainless, you're going to want to rinse it off. Salt is extremely corrosive. It does not matter what grade stainless steel you are using or titanium. Do not leave salt water on anything metal, right? Now, that is a factor in why it costs more as well, right? Titanium's always more expensive. They call it a turbine-style unidirectional diver's bezel. This has that turbine-style bezel. I think this is one of the coolest bezels on the market with any watch that I have in my collection. I absolutely love it. It makes the watch. If you didn't have this bezel, the watch would not look the same. Theirs has, you know, they call it a sunburst style. It's the exact one I'm looking at. I will say that H20 has a lot of color variations on the dial that this is your only option with the Steeldive. That may change, but they do have some beautiful looking dials, which I'm not going to say like more, but it would have been if I think if I had the choice between black or some of those colors, I probably would have chose those colors, but not for what they're charging. ETA 2824 movement. This is a off-the-shelf movement. Now, I don't know if it doesn't say anything about being regulated, right? It says 2824. I have the 2824 in one of my, what do you call it? The Aquadive bathyscaphe that they sent me. That's a $2,000 watch. At the end of the day, it tells time. This uses an H35. At the end of the day, the lume on this is fantastic. The lume on the H20 is a BGW9, and we'll come to what the lume is on this. And I'm not going to break down the specs on the movement. Again, ETA 2024 is used in many different watch brands. I have it. I can wholeheartedly say there is no difference at all in its ability to tell time over an NH35. Now, if you want to nitpick and throw it on a time grapher and you know, really put this to the test and time it, it may be better, right? But in my, you know, if you're like me, I don't care. It's not like the NH35 is getting me late to work or I can't show up to appointments on time. It just isn't like that. If there is a difference, it's so minute, it just doesn't matter, in my opinion, right? And I'm sure there's other reasons on why a guy who's a professional watchmaker or somebody who repairs these can tell you why the ETA 2824 is a better movement, but at the end of the day, they all tell time. It's not like my ETA 2024s is lasted, 8 years and suddenly this is I'm gonna get 3 out of it. It just doesn't work that way. So meaningless to me. And then I'm not going to get involved in all the specifications. The major specifications on this, though, are BG-W9, that it's titanium, that it has the ETA movement, and what else? What's the crystal made out of here? And I'm just going to include like titanium in like the case back. They do mention specifically the multi-sealed case back and things that are going to be more for the diver, right? To ensure a depth rating. I don't think this has any kind of I guess more of a higher tech case back. So remember though, this watch is a fraction of the cost. So who's going to buy this? If you're comparing both watches and saying, oh, which one should I buy? I don't know what to do. If you are a guy who is diving and going to spend a lot of time in the water with your watch, you're probably better off buying the H20 Kalmar, right? You're probably going to get a watch that's more designed for diving, which this is more designed for the dive look. Doesn't mean you can't take it diving. Doesn't mean you can't get it wet. Doesn't mean it doesn't go down to 25,000 meters, but I just wouldn't trust it like I would the other watch, right? If that makes sense. As far as the looks, if you're not a diver, my diving involved me jumping in the hot tub and dunking my head under the water, right? And wearing my watch. Hop in the shower sometimes when if I've been wearing a watch, I'm sweating all day or something like that, then absolutely, I do want the watch to be water resistant. I do want to be able to dunk it, but overall, I just wanted the look. I didn't even hear about the H20 Kalmar until I discovered this watch. So it's not like some folks will buy a Homage watch. They're like, oh, I want to get, the Rolex Submariner. I just don't want to spend the money or I can't afford it, whatever your reasoning is for that, right? And they want that specific look, okay? This watch I discovered before. So I fell in love with this watch and I was like, wow, Steeldive's making a killer diver. Then I discovered it wasn't actually their design. They just copied it, right? Which is even better because you get it for a fraction of the cost. It's the same thing we said with Doxa watches. I've always wanted a Doxa watch until they came out with Homage watches. And now I feel no reason to get a Doxa because I know the differences in quality are just not something I'm going to use. It's not something I care about. And it's not something that's really super tangible, right? Anybody who picks up this watch and the Kalmar is going to feel the weight difference, absolutely. But as far as fit, finishing, quality, the way the bezel turns, the lume, the case back, if you actually nitpick this and look it over with a fine-tooth comb, the major difference you're going to feel is the weight. When we look at the quality, they're both beautiful watches. One is just a fraction of the cost. So now let's go back to the Steeldive watch. And specs on this, they do rate it at 25,000 meters. Whether it'll do it or not is yet to be determined. Maybe someday somebody will pressure test this. We have the NH35 movement, time, tested, reliable, awesome movement. Let's not even talk about it anymore. 46.5 millimeter case diameter, definitely bigger than your standard 42. Some folks are gonna find that too large. This is the part that's really gonna hurt feelings. It's 22.6 millimeters thick. So almost an inch in thickness. And let me just kind of get on this. Look at that. I love the Steeldive logo. The bracelet. One of my big concerns with this watch was when I got this was, ooh, what is the bracelet going to feel like? Because I know on my Tuna Homage, it's nice, but it's not, it just doesn't have, these are a little bit thicker, right? It just feels, I don't want to say light, but it just doesn't feel as nice as this one. So when I got this, I was pleasantly surprised at how solid the bracelet is. They definitely made this a little bit thicker, and it definitely adds to the watch because it is such a big, thick watch. You would want a big, thick watch, I guess, with a real thin bracelet, right? So glad they knocked it out of the park with that. And it's just such a great, rendition of the H20 Kalmar, again, for a fraction of the cost. Incredible quality, beautiful bracelet. You can get it with the rubber strap if you like that. I personally, it's not my thing. I think you really take away from the big beefiness of the watch with rubber or silicone, but by all means, buy what you like. Screw down crown, it does use the same lume BGW9 as the Kalmar. 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel, does have a ceramic insert. I mean, really, there's not a lot of difference between the two. Again, wearing this watch, time, you're still going to be able to tell time well with it. You're still going to get, if not a lifetime of longevity. I never liked it. No, some people out there will put expirations on movements. That's just not true. I have movements and watches in my collection that aren't even H35. They're just like off the shelf, generic 1980s cheap Chinese automatic movements that are still working to this day. So it's just, you just can't really predict what's going to continue to work and what isn't. But what I can tell you is that you're not going to have 316 stainless steel just disintegrate, right? Like rubber or silicone might, right? You do have an AR reflective coating on this. You get a lot of bang for your buck. And this is definitely a watch that if you are a guy who, you know, if you love the Invicta watches and you're looking for something that's just big, bold, classy diver, this is it. Whereas Invicta watches, you can get the big watches, but like, the Hydromax, it's so big that it is over the top, right? Still dig it. I wouldn't mind getting another one, but this watch just really, there's an element of dive class with it, is how I'll word that. It's not, it's just not an Invicta. And it's just not, as much as I like the Invicta brand, there is a stigma about the brand. There always will be. But if you're rocking, if this watch said Invicta on it, you'd have people hating on it. But because it says Steeldive, it's going to be super popular, right? So overall, are you getting better quality with this watch? If I compare this watch side by side with my Aquadive, you can't feel any quality differences. You really can't. Other than on paper, seeing that one has that ETA movement, there's nothing in the real world that makes it worth that much more. And I've said that about watches for years. And you're seeing more and more guys reviewing watches, more and more Chinese copies of the real expensive watches coming out, where now you're fooling ADs. So again, I've said it many times, if it's that easy to replicate, it wasn't that special in the first place. And it just goes to show you that luxury brands have been ripping people off for years. And now these are my opinions. Always buy what makes you ultimately happy. But if you are into big, chunky, you know, awesome looking, unique watches, I would definitely add this to your collection. So as always, links are in the description. Pick this up, get it. I don't know, a lot of times when things start to sell, these things might skyrocket in price. You never know. So I'm going to throw it on my 7-inch wrist. I'm 182 pounds, 5'8". Beautiful wrist presence on this. It is definitely a looker. And I think, you can get it with the rubber strap. You can get it in the shark mesh. But arguably, I think that this is the best option for this watch. It's bold. It's closer to the real Kalmar. And I do like the bracelet on the Kalmar better. It's a 4-link bracelet where you have two, I believe it's a 4-link bracelet. You have 1, 2, 3. No, maybe it is. Actually, let me go back and look at that. I should have actually counted this ahead of time, but Kalmar has a, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a 5-link bracelet, but what they've done is they've made the 2 side links smaller and then one much larger center link. Unique to that watch. I haven't seen that done on other watches. And again, the Kalmar's got some awesome dial colors, but for the price, I'll take this over that any day of the week. It's just a great looking piece, and I encourage you to pick this up. Links are in the description. Buy it. Let me know if you did buy it. I don't know, man. This one's just, it's one of my new favorites. I've been really rocking this a lot lately, and man, there's not really much else to say about it. It just has that wrist presence. And I've mentioned it before, what I like about it is I've been getting into lately smaller watches that still have the thickness. Totally digging this. I love the fact it's just thick. It just really is a nice, comfortable, not over-the-top wristwatch without getting involved in something big like the Invictas, which I love, don't get me wrong, but there's a difference when you wear a Sea Hunter 3. It's meant to be like, I'm wearing the biggest, gaudiest watch ever. With this, you're wearing a classy-looking, thick, purpose-built diver. Whether it does the 25,000 meters or not, it gives you that look, and it's definitely a conversation piece. So folks, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of this watch. As always, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up and a like. And if you buy one, let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and take care.